Okay, hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters. Today we are on episode 101, and I have a whole ton of awesome myths that you guys suggested in the last video. So, just like always, if you do have a myth you would like me to test in the next or future episodes of the Fortnite Mythbusters, make sure to go down in the comments and drop a comment of that myth for a pretty good chance to be featured. As well, guys, if you do enjoy today's video at any moment, consider smashing that like button. Let's see if we could smash 20,000 likes on today's episode. That would be unreal. As well, I noticed only 14% of my viewers are actually subscribed. So I mean, if you guys do enjoy the content and you do want to support the grind to 1 million subscribers, feel free to subscribe and turn on those post notifications. Last but not least, I want to give a massive shout out to Yeet Blitz for being the first comment on my last video. So if you guys want to get a shout out, make sure to be to my videos early. Anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get right on in to today's episode. Kicking things off, the first myth is, if a henchman accidentally shoots the same type of henchman, will they fight each other like Minecraft skeletons do? The idea behind this myth is basically one henchman will shoot his teammate, and then all of a sudden they'll kind of turn on each other and they'll start fighting each other and hopefully ignore me. When I tried this myth out, it's not easy to get another henchman to shoot his own teammate, but luckily, you know, after quite a bit of tries and using the Kingsman umbrella, which was saving my life, I managed to actually get the enemy henchman to shoot his own teammate. Now it happens very quick, so I slowed it down and I also zoomed in, and you can see the bullets clearly hit his teammate in the back, multiple bullets, and his teammate doesn't even notice. There's no friendly fire on. He didn't take less damage or more damage or anything. It's basically the exact same thing as if you're playing a regular game of Fortnite and you shoot your own teammates. Either way, I thought it would be really funny, and I was really hoping they would fight each other, kind of like how skeletons do in Minecraft. Jumping straight into the next myth. The next myth is, can you win a game while you are still on the spawn island? Now, all of you guys know, in my custom matchmaking servers, I'm able to, you know, play with one other friend, and the moment they disconnect from the server, I will automatically win the game, because obviously there's one person left. So that's exactly what we tried here. We went into my custom matchmaking lobby, went on the spawn island, and the only other person who was in the game who was also on an enemy team, he basically left the game, which, you know, that's really the only way you can kill yourself on the spawn island. And the game didn't end. It didn't give me a victory royale or anything. So I mean, if this were to happen in a public match, you know, nothing would really happen. You would just eventually get loaded into the battle bus just by yourself. Something good to note and take away from this, though, is after my friend, you know, he left the game, who was on the enemy team, it took a good like minute, maybe even 2 minutes for the battle bus to even launch me. And you guys playing Fortnite, you guys know, whenever you load into a game, it's, you know, like a good 20, maybe even less, like 10 seconds before the battle bus actually does take off. Going into the next myth. The next myth is, what happens when a chopper is about to blow it up and you start healing it with a campfire? Are you able to save it? In the last episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters, we actually learned that you are able to heal vehicles with these natural campfires around the map. So what the comment meant is, you know, you actually get the helicopter down to literally 0 HP, where the alarm's going off, the helicopter, you know, is smoking and on fire, and then it'll eventually explode. So you light the campfire, and could you possibly get the 0 HP back up above 0 to maybe save the helicopter's life? I tried this out multiple times, though. I tried to, you know, make sure the campfire was close enough to the helicopter, and in this second time that I actually tried it, the helicopter was right next to the campfire. It was literally healing it as we spoke. But unfortunately, you can't really seem to, you know, save the helicopter after it's on fire and the alarm's going off, and then it just explodes. So I mean, in a real game, if you hear the alarm going off in your helicopter and it's spinning out of control, you might want to, you know, jump out of it. Going into the next myth. The next myth is, what happens when you get rebooted with a crash pad on top of the van? Will your player launch into the air? Now, we tried this myth out in a custom matchmaking server. I had a friend who was on the enemy team knock down my teammate who was also on my team. I then, you know, picked up his reboot card, because that's the first step to, you know, rebooting your teammate, and then I threw a crash pad directly on top of the reboot van, and I was actually surprised to see that the crash pad didn't really go anywhere. It actually was able to stick on top of the van. My teammate, who I was actually rebooting, he luckily recorded his POV on this, and you know, it was just a regular reboot, just with a crash pad on top of the van. He then spawned in, and it kind of made the noise as well as the animation of a player bouncing off of the crash pad, but it didn't launch his player into the air until he moved. Something good to note, though, is if you jump off of the crash pad while it's on top of the van, you'll actually take fall damage. I had the anti-gravity have the effect the entire way, but I still died to fall damage, which I thought was strange. Going into the next myth is, what happens when TNTina shoots her bow 5 times? Does she have to wait for it to reload like how a regular player does? So TNTina's bow, if you ever pick it up after killing her, you can shoot it 5 times and then it kind of has to regenerate, similar to, you know, like a bandage bazooka. When I tried this myth out in game, I was kind of baiting the shots out of TNTina as fast as I possibly could, and I counted 5 shots and even more, but it seems that, you know, TNTina doesn't really have any sort of delay. She'll continue spamming all the shots, you know, even not even waiting the good, I say, like 10-15 seconds for the bullets to actually reload after the 5 shots, which, you know, it kind of busts that myth right there. Like, you know, the 5 bullets go, she continues shooting, and in this certain situation, she kind of killed herself with her own explosion range. The delay on this bow is unreal though. After you shoot the 5 bullets, you may as well not pull this thing out for, you know, like a good like 5 minutes, because it takes so freaking long to recharge the bullets. I'm surprised TNTina doesn't even have a delay herself. Going into the next myth is, what happens when you throw a crash pad on top of a falling supply drop? So I thought this was actually a very good myth, especially because, you know, I tested the reboot van myth before I even tested this one. So, you know, I thought the outcome to this one might be something pretty crazy. I tried this myth out. I think the hardest part about it is to, you know, actually get the crash pad on top of the supply drop. So in this situation, you know, I kind of, you know, blocked it off so it wasn't falling. I then got myself in a position where I was directly above it. I then threw the crash pad, and surprisingly, the crash pad, you know, it just bounced directly off of it. Same thing as if you were to throw it on like a player or something. I definitely will test this myth out one more time in the future, you know, when, you know, the supply drop's not Deadpool, when it's an actual balloon, like the old supply drops that we actually know of, just to see maybe if there's, you know, a different outcome, or maybe in the future when Christmas is around and they have the massive Santa supply drop, maybe it's a different shape and the crash pad might have a different effect on it. So, you know, definitely something to look forward to in the future. Going straight into the next myth is, does the Kingsman umbrella protect you from a direct shot from an RPG since it could deflect bullets? Now for this specific myth, I noticed in the replies to the comment it said to try this out with your own teammate, which is exactly what I tried in this certain situation. Trust me, finding an RPG and a Kingsman umbrella took us multiple games and it was extremely difficult to do. But anyways, we tried this myth out, and you remember in the very first myth that we tested in today's episode, after the henchman shot the umbrellas so many times, you could see that the umbrella, the opacity started to go away and you could actually see through it. So after an RPG shot is actually shot at the umbrella, it makes that entire effect as if the umbrella is basically broken. To the myth earlier where we actually had the same exact umbrella and we were going up against TNTina, the RPG bullet, since it does splash damage, it'll obviously do damage to your player. The reason why, you know, regular bullets doesn't do damage to the Kingsman umbrella is because those are just straight up bullets and not explosives. Either way, something good to know. If I was ever getting shot at by an RPG in this situation, I would definitely just build a wall instead. Going into the next myth, and one of my most highly requested myths, this myth is, what happens when a shadow henchman sees a ghost henchman? Now I can't tell you how many times this myth has actually been suggested for me to do, and we have tested it out in previous episodes, but ever since, you know, there's been new layers around the map, you are able to actually get a shadow henchman to see a ghost henchman. When we tried this myth out, we tested it multiple times. The very first time we tested it, we knocked the ghost henchman and brought it all the way to the shadow henchman layer that is a little bit beneath Sweaty Sands, and we tried to throw the henchman out, but the helicopter blades killed it in midair. So, you know, we had to fly all the way back. We had to get another henchman where we did the exact same thing. My friend knocked it, hopped in the helicopter literally as fast as we possibly can, and we zoomed all the way over to the shadow henchman layer. From there, we flew all the way back to the layer, and my friend jumped out of the helicopter, set down the ghost henchman, and the shadow henchman, they targeted the crap out of him. I mean, that ghost henchman, I kind of felt bad because he died immediately. The shadow henchman shot them before they even targeted us. Now this entirely makes sense because picture you in a regular game, you put on a ghost henchman disguise and you go over to the shadow henchman layer while you still have, you know, that ghost henchman disguise on. They'll obviously still shoot at you, so the outcome doesn't really change anything, but it's really good to see, you know, this myth done with both of those AIs. Anyways guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, make sure to leave a like on today's video. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys don't know already, I've recently been streaming a lot on Twitch twitch.tv. So if you guys want to come follow me, watch me play some games live, I use Facecam and everything, make sure to go follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nexif. I should be live right now, so if you guys want to come say what's up, feel free. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you all next time. Peace.